Welcome to Building Your Success Path, Lesson 6, Who is Your Ideal Fan? This is one of the most eye-opening videos I think that we have in this entire training. So make sure you're paying attention to this because I think it's going to really, really help you. I should say that for every video, but this one I specifically think is really key for you to understand. So let me ask you, have you ever thought about what kind of fan you would like to have? What kind of fan you would like to have? Not kind of what fan you have, but what kind of fan you would like to have. Businesses actually have to do this all the time, and it can be done for bands as well. If you try to appeal to everyone, you risk appealing to no one. This is something that every band, every business, every person who's trying to, essentially make an income from something has to understand. If you try to appeal to everyone, you risk appealing to no one. So this might be you here in the Robin scenario saying, oh, any kind of person will like my music. Well, then Batman has to slap you in the face and says, well, your grandma hates it. Maybe your grandma likes country western, or maybe she doesn't like music. I don't know. But you're not trying to appeal to every person on planet Earth. You're trying to appeal to a very specific subset of people who like music like yours already. So what are the benefits of knowing who your ideal fan are? Well, here's some benefits. First, you'll write music more deeply focused on how to connect to the person you want to speak to. Mostly speaking, your music is going to be written about you, about your experiences. But the best thing is your ideal fans are going to be very similar to you. So if you just write really personal stuff or, ideally something that's kind of connected to you, your ideal fan will probably connect with that as well. So it'll be more deeply focused on how to connect, right, to that person because it's you. That's also a part of the ideal fan. You'll also create a more personal and intimate connection with fans who are dying for your music. This is something that you cannot replicate no matter how hard you try through business or music. If you can't connect with people on a personal, intimate level because you don't know who your ideal fan is or because you don't know who you are, then you won't actually create that connection. You'll actually also understand that, what merch and content your fans will most likely want to see because it's also stuff that you want to see, right? So if it looks good to you, it'll probably look good to them because they're kind of, you and them are the ideal fans. You'll write better emails to engage with fans. And I know that sounds boring, like who wants to write emails? But as part of the marketing follow-up, which we'll talk about later, you'll actually create some really cool, engaging emails that your fans will actually want to read and check out, right? So imagine if you were trying to, be on a newsletter for your favorite band, Red Hot Chili Peppers or whatever, and all they ever did was send out like, here's our tour, here's our new music, that's it, which pretty much they do because they're signed to a major record label. They don't really have any control over a lot of the stuff that they do. But imagine if they actually sent out stuff that said like, hey, John, or whatever your first name is, it's great to have you on our fan list and in our fan base. Just let me know what your favorite song by the Chili Peppers is. And then somebody actually responded when you said it was, Give It Away Now or whatever, right? So they were like, oh, that's a great song. One of our older ones, one of our bigger, more popular songs, whatever. But, imagine if that actually happened. That's something you can do and you will do later. And we'll talk about that during the marketing section. You'll also have better branding, logos, and even packaging for your inserts, for like the albums, anything like that, because you'll know what people expect and what kind of things you like, right? So it's all tied together. And you'll actually have people raving about their experience with your band. If you know how to treat your ideal fan and who they are and what they're expecting, you'll know how to exactly give them the best experience possible. So here's business benefits of knowing your ideal fan. So this is where the business part comes in, right? You can create more targeted ads. Well, that sounds weird, but guess what? When you can create more targeted ads, you spend way less money on those ads. You'll also get more fan engagement and retention. So the longer they sit and hang out with you and engage with you, the longer they stay and possibly buy stuff from you over and over and over again. And I just want to say, before I move forward, there's actually a quote that says something like, audiences will listen to your music, fans will buy your music, right? So just keep that in mind. You get higher conversion rates on your merchandise. You get higher conversion rates on your ads. Everything will actually be more highly converting because you know exactly what kind of message you have to say to your ideal fan, right? So you're going to speak to them exactly like they speak themselves, and you're just reflecting it back to them. You create a long-term sustainable business as a band. That is the number one thing you're trying to achieve, right? So the biggest business benefit of knowing your ideal fan is exactly that, creating a long-term sustainable business as a band. You also have long-lasting relationships with fans, usually meaning repeat customers in business terms, but this could mean a lot of different things for actual bands, like, right? So maybe you have the ability to stay at people's houses because you become friends with them over the years by creating long-lasting relationships. So when you go on tour, you just have, 6 to 10 houses that you can stay at instead of renting, hotel rooms or whatever, right? So these are very valuable relationships when you can actually have friends that have become longtime fans that you can mutually benefit from each other, right? And there's so many other business related benefits, though. I don't want you to think of your fans as transactions. That's not how I want you to think of them. I'd rather you think of them as investors who are willing to support you, because that's maybe more the right perspective. So don't think of them as transactions. Nothing about your fans. You shouldn't be like seeing dollar signs over their head. You should actually just be seeing like relationships. That's what you're trying to, kind of pursue. So how do you know who your ideal fan is? Well, you can see up on the top left, there's kind of like some more like heavy metal kind of guys like raging out over there. And then you got that's actually from a Coheed and Cambria one. The second one up down on the top there, very cosplay, very oriented towards their sci-fi theme. And then you got kind of like the Deadheads, the Jimmy Buffett guys that are just there to chill and maybe smoke some pot or whatever they're doing. And then you got maybe more like the pop punk, emo, more pop rock kind of fans in the top right. And then you got the definitely like emo, more goth kid on the bottom right. And then maybe just, your standard, high school kids, pop punk kids, whatever in the bottom middle. And then you got more like the hardcore punk rock people with the mohawks, the spikes, the leather stuff, jean jackets, whatever. So I'm not saying that these are stereotypes that you should apply to your band, saying that you should try to fit in this. But what I'm saying is some of these don't fit in other people's, genres, right? So like if you're a punk band, you're probably not going to go out and try to attract Grateful Dead fans. What would be the point? You'd be wasting all your time and effort when they're going to hear it and go, no, I just want to listen to a 20-minute guitar solo because I'm a jam band kind of person, right? So you have to understand that your music is not going to be totally applicable to all these people, even though all these people might like a subgenre of rock. They're all completely different, and they all have different experiences, as you can see there, right? So while some people might actually like all of these genres or a handful of these genres, you're trying to pinpoint the genre and the ideal fan that you're trying to attract and who best fits you, so that way you can actually, have the best experience with them and they can have the best experience with you. Hopefully that makes sense. So let's talk about this ideal fan exercise, because I want to go over it with you. It's actually a pretty cool exercise. And basically, I want you to follow these steps for the questions on the next slide. So first, you're going to take out your phone and go to a voice recorder app or record something, get a recorder of some kind, right? Have someone ask you the questions on the next slide. And they're going to instruct them to ask, why is that? Or why, if the answer is too brief or not clear. So if you're just saying like, oh, because so, that's what I like. Well, then somebody has to say, why is that? Why is that what you like? Why do you want that? Or whatever, right? So tell them to ask you that. Or if you're recording yourself and you're looking in a mirror, keep asking yourself, why? Why is that? Once the conversation is over, type out the highlights of what was said. Put your answers in bullet point form with the benefits for the fan up front. And I'll explain this in a second. So here we go. Here's how to identify your ideal fan. Answer this question. What kind of music fan is most likely to love your music? And notice I put love, not like, but love. What kind of music fan is most likely to love your music? Why do they want to listen to and support your music? Why? How does it make them feel when they listen to your music? Remember, feelings and emotions are a very big part of a very big experience, right? What problems are you trying to solve with your music? How do fans feel when those problems are solved or temporarily relieved? And I'll explain what that means in a second. How willing are these fans to invest time and money for this? And how are you different from other musicians for this type of fan? And then basically what you want to ask yourself is, do your products, music, and your content reflect all of this? Is it part of this experience? Does it enhance their experience? Or are you creating disjointed or disparate kind of elements that don't really cohesively fit together? So here's an example of ideal fan exercise. Who is most likely to love your music? I should put love. It says listen, but it's love your music. Predominantly young to middle-aged males, 18 to 35, who feel like music on the radio is trash because it's overproduced nonsense about trite relationships or materialistic lifestyles. Fans of emo and indie rock styles are kind of like the subgenres, right? So why do they want to listen to your music? They want to hear about dealing with real tragedy, death, depression, heartbreak, loss, and how to come away alive and hopeful. It's a pretty big thing. That's a heavy inspiration, right? They also have an aspirational journey through depression and sadness. How do you get through these deep, dark thoughts, right? How does it make them feel when they listen to your music? Like they aren't the only ones facing a shitty problem with their job or like their family or their girlfriend, wife, or death in their life or depression. What problems are they facing that your music helps with? So remember these problems, like what problems do you solve with your music? People always say, oh, I don't solve problems with my music. Absolutely you do. Even if it's just solving the problem of boredom, right? That is a problem that you solve. But let's talk about some more deep problems, right? Social anxiety, depression, strained relationships with family, hating work, relationship problems, helplessness in the face of a world that seems to be on the verge of collapse, straight up boredom, and feeling like there's more to life than what they are currently doing. These are all problems that you're currently trying to help them with. Maybe you're not in all of these. Maybe you're in some of these. Maybe you've got other problems that you're trying to help, face with your music, right? How do they feel when that problem is solved? The problems may never be solved, but it is helpful and cathartic, so that's self-healing, right? To know that there is support in the form of music that connects them to others in the same way. It's this collective support group. That's everybody kind of feeling like they're all in it together, right? The fans have a communal sense of positivity and hopefulness. It's a big thing. Without hopefulness and kind of a communal sense of that, it's pretty dark out there. What kind of content do they engage with online and in person? Live streams of the band talking about the music videos, new music releases, social media posts of the band doing random stuff, opinionated posts, interviews. So how willing are these fans to invest time and money for this? They're very supportive in an active fan base that actively await new music, merch, exclusive live stream performances, show tickets, and fan exclusive experiences. So, and when I say exclusives, that means experience stuff, right? So they are the only ones who get it. How are you different from other musicians for this type of fan? So you've probably seen tons of different bands that kind of fit that emo and indie rock genre, have a very similar sound, or this description could fit those bands. But how are you different? Well, here's an example. I don't know how everyone does it, but I live the life of this fan. So you are the ideal fan, right? Because we have those same feelings, problems, ideological crises, and I constantly need reassurance that things will be okay in this world through music, which is what I'm looking to provide for our fans. And I spend time actively listening and engaging with fans. So how may understanding your ideal fan help you make a living? Well, here's some examples of great fan experiences for just one thing, right? So if you say you can offer new music, they might pay up to $25 for vinyl. Again, don't think of these like transactions, but think of this like a customer relationship where you're trying to benefit them and they're trying to benefit you, right? It's a support group. It's two-sided. It's not one way. Merch, well, you might charge up to like $40 or $50 for a hoodie. So this is just typical numbers that you might see. Live stream performances, maybe they'll pay up to $10 to watch you on a live stream. Show tickets, maybe they'll actually come to a show and they pay up to $20, unless it's a great lineup and there's, not just you and some local talent or whatever on that bill. Maybe you have some fan base exclusives, like maybe you can charge $500 for in-person private performances. If travel fees apply, you can add them in there too. So like, hey, you live, 2 states away, we're going to have to travel and stay overnight, so we're going to pay for gas and hotel. That might be something that people would be willing to pay for. Think about this. When I was getting married, I was like, man, I'd really like to have a cool band be at our wedding. That would be like, something that my wife and I would like to have. If it was like within reason of like a couple $1,000s, I probably would have done it. Most bands that I wanted to look at the time were a little outside the price range, and it just didn't happen. But if there was like a band who was like, hey, we'll do it for $500 and travel fees or whatever, I would have actually had them come over and not play cover songs, but play their own music. So something to think about. You can do in-person private performances and just play your own music, right? Maybe you just want to offer a post-show hangout sesh, right? So $100 to hang out with us after a show. The $100 basically just covers your drinks and stuff like that, right? So you have a couple of drinks, hang out for a half an hour. Maybe you put a time limit on it, 30 to 60 minutes. But they get that, super exclusive, intimate fan experience. Maybe there's a $50 for a customized video greeting. Maybe a couple of minutes long of you just saying, hey, thanks for being a fan, blah, blah, blah. Tell them why you are appreciative of them, all that stuff, right? So that's $50 there that you can maybe charge for. You could also do a 20-minute personal Q&A or do a group Q&A and charge a certain amount of money. So if it's a personal one, you might do it for $50 to talk to them for 20 minutes interactively, right? So that's something that you could charge for. You could even do $25 for a small group VIP pre-show experience. So, hey, the $25 plus might be the cost of the ticket plus $25, or if you're doing a free show, you might charge for a pre-show VIP or something like that. And in that, you could just do a 3-song acoustic set or something very easy where you can actually meet and greet people before the show. So do you see how your fan would start to help pay for you to be a musician now? All these little things start to add up, right? Like, especially, things that you can sell en masse, like music, right? Merch, right? And live streams. You can sell those to as many people as you can pretty much put it out to, right? Now, the other things, these fan exclusives are more intimate, but you can see how the price tag goes up for it being more intimate and more exclusive. So again, take care of them and they will take care of you. They will invest in your future if they feel you truly care about them. So how to take care of your ideal fan? Keep them in the loop of your band, giving them advance notice of any announcements, give them exclusive access, maybe for a paid membership, like a Patreon or something like that. Respond to them, listen and accept some of the requests within reason. Like, you're not going to go and play Brazil if you never have, sold any merchandise there. Very rarely do you have streams there. Never sold any, albums there. You're not just going to listen to that, right? But like, listen and accept the requests that are reasonable. Treat them like friends and allies, because that's what they pretty much are. They're people trying to help you, so treat them like that and help them back. Acknowledge them in the community. Anybody that stands out, go ahead and say, hey, we want to just shout out this person. You can do that at performances or in live streams or just in your community. If you use an idea or honor one of their requests, make sure that you actually say their name for saying, hey, this was requested by so-and-so, or, this was an idea that we had from our community, and this is something that we're going to do now. But don't nickel and dime them, right? Don't basically go out and make them pay for everything that you do. That just basically tears down that trust and that fun experience. You want to do something for them that is beneficial to them, but not just like taking money at every single piece, right? Like, you want to give them as much content and a great experience as possible within reason. And then if for anything that's more exclusive, sure, you can charge for that, but don't be like, hey, to see our new song, we're not going to release it on Spotify. We're just going to release it to our fan base, but you have to pay $5, right? Like, these are the things that can kind of be like, they're not so promotional anymore. You can see those as just straight up asking for money all the time. So don't do that. There's certain things that you can get money from and certain things that you should just not ask money for. So let's take action. Go through the ideal fan exercise for real. Actually do this. It's super important that you understand who your ideal fan is. Have someone else ask you the questions and record what you say. Then type out the answers in bullet points or short sentences. And again, you don't have to try to monetize the fan yet. Just get the ideas on paper for now and go slow and steady.